Welcome in. We are back. The Dirty Pocket Podcast, Week 3. Yes, we're still here. We are surviving. I am with my partner in crime, Daniel Kelly, who is 3 hours ahead of me on the East Coast in beautiful Florida. Man, I don't know how you're staying awake at this time of night, the time of this taping, Wednesday evening, folks. What are we drinking to stay alive this week?
Well, we're not drinking pickle juice, but we have a little kickstart. When most people are drinking milk and eating cookies, I have a little energy drink going about a little past 11 out here on the East Coast. So I may have some energy tonight. That's a shock.
That'll be something different. Wow. Hey, kickstart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Call us. Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely.
Hey, man. Whatever it takes to get awake. We got plenty to talk about.
Whatever it takes. It's the name of a good book.
Whatever it takes. Very good book available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. We have got some stuff to unpack from Week 2 in the NFL, man. I can't even believe the storylines. Thought about you several. We were texting a little bit over the weekend. Just a lot of big, crazy stuff happening. What an awesome season, and we're only 2 weeks into this thing. So we're gonna pick it up a little bit this week and go a little more rapid fire, jump right into the meat and potatoes of this thing. And let's start off with what we saw on a team you cover for Sports Illustrated, the Detroit Lions at Green Bay. And I'm just going to say 2 words, and then I'm going to crawl under the table. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, no, thanks for putting the ball on the tee for me, Stacy. I mean, this is unbelievable with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Detroit was leading that game 17-14 at the half, and I really thought Detroit had it. Had it not been for things falling apart in the second half, they would have had it. Had it not been for the rain, they probably would have had it too. But Aaron Rodgers, he really, he said some things after the game that really kind of made me take notice. It hit my radar screen, and he says, "Hey, it's just great to get the trolls off our back for a week or so," I think is something he said like that. And I was like, wait a second here. Do you think that by beating the Detroit Lions, Aaron, that you're going to get the quote-unquote trolls? Like, that's a kind of a derogatory statement. But, do you think you're going to get us off your back? Wrong answer. Aaron's a game show guy. He should understand the buzzer, right? That's a wrong answer. That's not correct. No, it takes a lot more than that, Aaron. It takes a lot more than beating the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football, which you could have lost, should have lost, had not been for Mother Nature. And, after 9 months of him selfishly putting himself above the team in Green Bay, from the moment he walked off the field in the NFC Championship game when he lost to warm weather Tampa Bay at Lambeau Field, and he started with those very premeditated sounding statements like he'd been rehearsing them for weeks about how he didn't know if he'd be back, he didn't know who would be back, trying to undermine the stability of the team. Then he kind of rolls into the off-season, which I talked about in Draft Diamonds, and I have substantiating proof and articles from very credible sources with every piece of this information if you want to check it out. But, he started discouraging free agents, kind of warning them if he didn't know he'd be back, and trying to, discourage them from signing in Green Bay, which hurt the Packers' chances from signing some of those guys. And then he, kind of rolled in, kept making things about himself all offseason. I wrote articles in March. I said, cut him, trade him, run him out of the building, put him out the pasture, do whatever you can, put him on some reserve list that doesn't exist, get him out of the building in Green Bay. If I was a general manager, I would have cut him on the night of the NFC Championship game. Every night Aaron Rodgers should get, hey, Aaron, turn up your volume, okay? Because obviously, you're hearing footsteps. This stuff's getting to you. Because if I had been the general manager, in Green Bay, I would have cut him the night of the NFC Championship game, point blank, gone. Okay, not trade, gone. Okay, so there's the door to the building goes through my office, Aaron. So I would have done that move, but this guy's unbelievable. I've always respected Aaron Rodgers in the past as far as being a quarterback, but this whole thing with trying to throw general manager Brian Gutekunst under the bus and trying to question his personnel moves. Hey, buddy, guess what? Brian Gutekunst has built a roster that's made 2 straight NFC Championship games. that's a pretty good. I think he's more of a front runner for NFL Executive of the Year than a guy who should get cut. Don't you agree, Aaron? And so when I look at this, I'm amazed. And then he comes back with the whole Randall Cobb, and Gutekunst says, well, we probably wouldn't have him back here if it wasn't for Aaron. He even acknowledged that, and he comes out with that wonderful what was that called, Stacey? Was that an infomercial or a press conference at the Packers headquarters when he said, I think I should be a little bit more involved? Involved? You've never been invited to the table by management, Aaron. What are you talking about involved? You won one Super Bowl. You're not Tom Brady. You haven't filled up both hands with rings. You're a guy who basically has won one Super Bowl and feels all of a sudden because of that, you're entitled to say in personnel. You're not a scout. You're not a director. You're not a GM. You're not assistant GM. So guess what? What I think Aaron Rodgers is trying to do is trying to position himself to become another John Elway because his playing days are just about over. So he's trying to position himself to become the next general manager of the Green Bay Packers. And in my article, I simply said, it is not happening. I'm on to you, Aaron. Hear my footsteps in the Dirty Pockets podcast. I'm coming for you.
Oh, man, you are nuts.
And if you think that's something, you should read the article because
it's out there.
Aaron Rodgers, guess what? There's no back down on this guy. I'm going to come at you harder than any defensive lineman's ever come at you in your career.
So he is clearly hearing this stuff, as pointed out to me in comments yesterday, that he says it's all absolute BS and that you're giving these people stages. Does that mean the Dirty Pocket podcast? So many people to get clicks and so on and so forth. It's clearly not something he likes. I've always said I'm a big fan, and I've not always agreed with this way he's handled this, I guess would be the best way to say this, over the last year or so after losing last year. I don't think that game was his fault, by the way. But okay, I'm going to yank this thing back. If you want to scream down Daniel Kelly on this Aaron Rodgers issue, NFL Draft Diamonds, fantastic article from it was either today or yesterday, I believe. They're starting to blend together. And yesterday's article. And let's yank back to the game. Based on what you're saying about Aaron Rodgers, and you would have cut the MVP at the end of the NFC Championship game. The other guy in America, but that's okay.
I would have gone down to the locker room. I would have gone down to the locker room and done it before he even changed into his street clothes. You don't walk off the field and undermine my team. Not happening.
Well,
it won't happen.
And there's a lot of people that feel pretty similar emotions about that, including Packer fans. So the game comes Monday.
I feel bad for the Packers fans because I think Vince Lombardi's rolling over in his grave because Aaron Rodgers is putting himself above this football team, and then he comes out and acts like he's something because he won a game. Does he want a medal? That's his job. He's the leader of the team.
I don't disagree. Leadership is a big deal. But come on, I mean, he had a couple of passes in that game against the Lions that were just sick and ridiculous. And by the way, I want to say he's clearly still rusty. He had a couple passes that were wide open he missed. But, man, that pass to Devontae Adams up the sideline deep, and then that pass to Robert Tonyan in a window about the size of a coffee cup was just ridiculous. And that's the thing. People are in love with that kind of talent, which, to everybody's credit, is a separate issue from the leadership thing, right? He has never been he's not Tom Brady. He's not Brett Favre. He's not these kind of guys that just lives and breathes football, and that's all that matters to him. He's a cerebral dude. He's got other stuff on his mind. He's got a beautiful fiance. He wants to host Jeopardy, live in Hawaii, and sing Taylor Swift songs. I mean, that's who he is. I mean, that's what he did.
Well, then go do it, Aaron. Go do it. I mean, you said you have nothing left to prove. Why are you back in Green Bay then? What's the real end game here?
I think he wants another Super Bowl. I think his legacy means something to him. And again, you watch him in that game, and again, just focused on Aaron Rodgers, the player. He missed a few throws early, real easy ones, and then he did a couple of things that you just go, that's sick. I mean, nobody else can make that throw. It's just ridiculous. So I'm holding back judgment. I think you're the only dude in America that was going to cut the NFL MVP last year, but I'm going to shift off Aaron Rodgers, and we'll go down a rabbit hole that'll never end. However, prediction, in week 4, we are once again going to talk about Aaron Rodgers, so stay tuned. But let's talk about the Packers and that game specifically for a few minutes. Is that defense a problem in Green Bay?
It is. It is a problem. I mean, if anybody turned on their TV in Week 1, Jameis Winston looked like the second coming of Drew Brees. I think he completed I think it was 7 out of 4. I think more than almost half of his passes from memory went for touchdowns. Not just completions, but for touchdowns. I mean, the Saints torched. They gaslighted Green Bay's secondary. And then last week, Detroit comes back out, drives right down the field, Lambeau Field, scores, comes back, drives down the field again and scores. Yeah, I think it's a big problem. I think that secondary is a big problem in Green Bay. And, yeah, it's a problem.
I got to tell you, and I'm trying to keep you out of controversy, but we're going to kick that door in again in just a second. Looking just at this game, and I'm unabashedly a Jared Goff fan. As I've stated a million times, I won't go down that road again. But he had a couple of sick throws, particularly the one to Hawkinson in the corner of the end zone, that were just absolutely outstanding. And you could see that he was working that Green Bay secondary. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen when Green Bay has to face Matt Stafford, Tom Brady, even a Dak Prescott, some of these guys that have weapons and are excellent quarterbacks, and that's not digging on Jared because I'm a fan. But that defense looks like a big problem. Shifting gears for a second to Jared, because you cover the Detroit Lions for Sports Illustrated. Mm-hmm. Man, I came out of the game just gut punched. The first half, I'm thinking, you show him, Jared. You show him. And then in the second half, he drops the ball a couple times. And the whole narrative on him, and you're a former scout going back to the draft, was he's got small hands. He's not going to be gripping the ball in weather. Bucky Brooks is tweeting during the game. And, man, it just made me sick. I feel like the narrative around Jared's bad, but it gets hard to defend him after a game like that. What's your take on Jared Goff after that game?
Well, my concern, once we left Los Angeles and was traded to the Detroit Lions, I think I addressed it in an earlier article, and I've talked about for Sports Illustrated, is that I felt like his confidence was kind of doing this with kind of going downhill very rapidly. It just looked like he was kind of second guessing things. He was more hesitant in the pocket with the Rams, especially towards the playoffs. And my real concern was once he got traded to Detroit, how quickly would that confidence, continue to deteriorate, or would it bounce back a little bit? And, with the game against San Francisco in Week 1, obviously the big almost comeback at the end, I was like, okay, well, maybe he's starting to kind of feel it again. And then the first half was really good. I was like, okay, well, this is good. And the second half, you could just see the look on his face. You could see the look on Dan Campbell's face. You could see the whole thing just on a slide, like a sled on a cold, icy day in the Midwest when kids are on a sled. You could just see the eyes, the confidence, everything kind of just go like this again. And so, yeah, that's a real concern. I think this is a moment of truth for Jared Goff this weekend against the Baltimore Ravens. The conditions would be perfect inside their stadium, and this is going to be a big game for him, and it's going to be really determine where the Detroit Lions are headed this season.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I can't argue, and I'm one of his biggest fans and a big defender.
I like him too. I mean, every time I used to turn on the TV, he'd be throwing some big touchdown pass for the Rams. But I tell you what, confidence with quarterbacks in the National Football League is about as fragile as the china you get out of your closet or cupboard for Thanksgiving. It's very fragile. I've seen a lot of quarterbacks with big arms, and we all know the names. When they lose the confidence, it doesn't matter if they can still throw a football 80 yards through a tire. If they don't have it from the neck up, it's not happening, and they're out of the game.
Yeah, can't argue it. You've seen it a million times throughout football history. Okay, so let's get in the trenches for a couple minutes, sticking with this game before we move on to a next controversial subject. Penei Sewell, my man, like you and I butted heads and disagreed on this. You had a really big article on NFL Draft Diamonds proclaiming he's a bust. And when you said bust, you meant bust. Slow-footed, should be a guard. He's not going to pull it off. Man, this kid looks great. I mean, he was one of the top 3 by Pro Football Focus rated rookie linemen this past Sunday. Is this smoke and mirrors? I mean, it's not possible for you to be wrong on this, right?
It's not possible. It's not possible, Stacy. It's a figment of your imaginations.
Okay.
It's a false narrative, as my wife would say. It's her narrative is my new favorite word. No, here's the thing. I wrote an article, a follow-up article the next week. You know, when you watch the tape, I mean, the film doesn't lie. Tony Razzano, Secrets of NFL Scout, the former scouting director of the San Francisco 49ers, the guy who wrote the book that was Bill Walsh's scouting director that taught me how to scout. He said the film does not lie. And so when I go back, and we could all watch, a highlight here and there, or a little blip here and there on ESPN. But what I saw is I saw him extremely vulnerable through what's called the B gap, which is his inside shoulder when he's playing left tackle. And I put film illustrations right on the article. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not just shooting from the cuff. This is he's giving up pressure. I do not like Penei Sewell's feet. For the 100th time, I didn't like it at Oregon. I thought he was a big fish in a small pond. He used his size, he used his presence, he used his physical strength to stay in front of people. But I tell you what, if you're a pass rusher and you're watching this show, trust me on this. Start hard to the outside and then come back and rip, swing, spin to the inside and watch that slow-footed guy get whooped in the inside pocket with the pressure. And also starting out with the pressure inside, start with the inside rush. Skilled pass rushers, the most skilled pass rushers in the National Football League play on that side. That's why they have the movie The Blind Side, right? I mean, that's the premium position, left tackle. That's where the best pass rushers are coming from. And I'm telling you, if you challenge Penei Sewell's footwork, you're going to get pressure on the quarterback.
Well, you know who he's got in a couple of weeks, right?
Who's that?
Some guy wears 99 in Los Angeles in horns. And they moved him all around this past weekend against the Colts, which we are not going to touch too much on. The band was up against the best guard in football in Quentin Nelson, and he just wreaked holy hell on their offense. Boy. He just wreaked the shovel pass interception. You go back and watch film, was all due to Aaron Donald taking the tight end, coming down the line of scrimmage and just smacking him. So he couldn't get to the ball. I mean, it's just incredible. So our guy Penei Sewell, the rookie, is getting baptism by fire here in a couple of weeks against Aaron Donald.
Can I say one more word about left tackles?
Oh yeah, of course.
Left tackle. You want to talk about left tackles? Let's talk about a guy who makes Penei Sewell like he came up with a gumball machine. Let's talk about Rashaan Slater for a second. Let's talk about the left tackle for the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's talk about him. He is putting on a clinic. He looks like a Hall of Famer. You want to see someone move his feet, slide around. You want to see a technician and maybe remind some of you older fans maybe of a cross between Jim Lachey and Raleigh McKenzie. You want to see something like that? Turn on the Chargers and watch this guy. This guy handled Chase Young in the week 1 of the regular season. This guy came back, everyone's talking about Micah Parsons, this, that, and the other. He handled Micah Parsons. When Micah Parsons had to go to the other side to do anything whatsoever. He could even move Slater. Slater's the real deal. Slater was my pre-draft documented time and date stamp LT1, and it stays that way. That's my guy. You know, whether Sewell can play or not play, that remains to be determined. I'm telling you, if I'm a general manager, I'm taking Slater all day long, and you can all have Penei Sewell.
Well, there's a lot of people that agree with you. And frankly, I'm thinking of two names right off the top of my head that are very respected scouts today that agree with you, the former scout, that Rashan Slater was actually the best left tackle in this draft.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely. Wasn't high profile.
Boy, I got to tell you, that was an embarrassment of riches that he's got down to the Chargers. I did not see that coming. And when he got the Chargers needed a tackle and they needed a corner, and they got them both. And but Slater looks looks like that Anthony Munoz. You know, I'm going to be here for 15 years. See you at the Hall.
Yeah,
I can't disagree with that. I just think Sewell looks good. Stay tuned. We're on all rookie quarterback watch, and if we got to pick an OL, we'll probably pick Sewell and Slater, and we'll get back to that. Moving along.
And test his feet.
Before you test his feet, he's actually running. He's got defensive coordinators running to the film room.
Test the feet. Test that B gap. Come on, please.
Oh, he's got a 99's going to test him because 99 tests everybody. So
go inside. The door to the quarterback is open.
Jared Goff does not like you, man. He doesn't want that at all. So moving along, and I don't want to make your head explode here, but Bill Belichick doing Bill Belichick thing to rookie quarterbacks.
Yes.
Rookie quarterback, the latest sacrificial lamb is Mr. Zach Wilson in New York with 4 interceptions. Just an abysmal, horrifying showing by a guy that you've said in your articles, NFL Draft Diamonds, check him out, should have been cut, traded, whatever. They should have stayed way away from him at number 2. But here it is. So you've worked for Belichick. You've been on that staff with him at the Jets. Were you surprised at all? I mean, I wasn't. I sat there smiling.
Not surprised in the slightest.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you almost feel for Zach Wilson. I mean, I like Zach Wilson better than you do. I think that he's got some breadth.
Well, I don't like him at all, so that's not saying much.
That's okay. So fair enough, right? So this is where we.
Are you listening, Lisa Wilson?
This is where we butt heads. But I see a little Brett Favre, Jake Plummer. I see something there, and I think he'll get.
Does he wear their jerseys? Is that how you see it?
He does not. I think I see the athleticism. He's got a good deep ball. What I saw Sunday is he was trying to go deep all the time, like Favre did. And they were trying to run the ball and get a short intermediate passing game going, and he was trying to go for touchdowns all the time. I mean, 4 picks against Belichick. Oh, man, I just sat here after 4 cups of coffee watching that going, oh, Zach, you'll remember this one, kid. I mean, that was brutal. And the Jets got after Mac Jones. I mean, Mac Jones looked serviceable. He looked good. I didn't think they trusted him a lot. You're still seeing a lot of that Josh McDaniels short passing game, 22 of 30 for 186 yards. But your guy, Zach Wilson, faces the Broncos and Vic Fangio next. Is he going to survive this 2-week gauntlet?
I think you saw how Trevor Lawrence did, right?
Oh, and then there's Lawrence. I mean, that's...
Expect the same thing this week against. I mean, the Denver Broncos are going to give him a lot of different looks, do a lot of different things. I mean, the Broncos handled Trevor Lawrence. They're going to go back and handle Zach Wilson this weekend. And it's a long road for Zach Wilson. I said in my article, just to clarify, that they need to trade him or sit him because they do not have the supporting cast. Even if they liked him, okay, let's say for a second they like Zach Wilson. They do not have the supporting cast around him for him to survive a season with those kind of hits he's taking and the type of problems they have and the lack of weapons that they have as well. That's why I said they need to set him or trade him. If they cared about him, they have to do something. If they just continue to leave him out there, he's going to be another one of these quarterbacks that's going to get his confidence shattered over time. He was a fragile ego guy to begin with coming out of BYU. He came from a very comfortable upbringing, very well-to-do upbringing. His uncle is the owner of JetBlue Airlines. Ironically, the Jets fly JetBlue, and that's by the way, and he had a very soft upbringing. And when you're in New York and the Boopers are coming down in week 1, and the media is going to come after you harder than any kind of blitzing linebacker ever could, you keep this guy in there, it's going to be nothing but problems, and his ego is going to get crushed, and probably his body will too. He's going to take a pounding, and by the time the Jets ever get around to trying to build something, they're going to have a shell of what they thought they had.
God, we've seen that so many times in NFL
many
history.
Times.
I mean, as you're reeling that off, and I'm agreeing with all of that, by the way, I'm seeing David Carr in my head. And I'm just going, that
76 sacks in 2002. This guy is on track for, I think they said, 102 sacks over 17 games.
Man,
that's woo.
Yeah. I like the kid. I think he's got some moxie. I'm giving him more credit than you are at this point. I think he's going to be
cut him.
But there's Jesus, cutting the number 2 pick, right? But
I just want to make you smile, Stacey.
Yeah, you did it. But I tell you what, Belichick just, the guy has no mercy on these young guys. So, okay, sticking to the young.
Neither do I.
So, yeah, I know. We noticed that. We actually noticed that.
They made a big mistake. Big mistake. Joe Douglas is going to get fired for getting rid of Sam Darnold. You can quote me on that.
Darnold looks decent, man, and he's got a big game tomorrow night. And I actually...
He could be in the Pro Bowl. How is that going to look for Joe Douglas and New York Jets if Darnold makes a Pro Bowl and Zach Wilson is spinning his wheels with the Jets? How's that going to look?
Yeah, I didn't agree with the decision at all. I thought that the Jets gave up on Darnold way too soon, and they did. They did exactly what you were just describing with Zach Wilson. They got the hell kicked out of him for a couple seasons, and they expected him to be the promised, the Messiah. It's not going to happen. Football's an 11-man game on that line, on that side of the ball, and on the other side. So, absolutely couldn't agree. Shifting gears a little bit, because this is big news, folks. As of today, the Justin Fields era has begun in Chicago.
My QB1. Now we're talking real quarterbacks. We're not talking about manufactured quarterbacks. Now we're talking about the real deal. QB1 on Daniel Kelly's draft board.
He was on mine too. I think Justin Fields is the real deal. I think he's going to need some time. I'm praying that Matt Nagy does right by him and doesn't get this guy hurt. By doing crazy RPOs nonstop, but just let him be a quarterback. We saw him dismantling the best teams in college football. This kid is a pure talent. So,
he is.
Wow. Andy Dalton, I'm almost positive your career is now as a backup and probably virtually over. Yeah.
Bye, Andy. Thanks for the memories.
Back. Yeah, you got to feel nice guy, good guy, always been a good teammate. But, it's over, and
this is Justin Fields' team now. And you know what? Let me come on the record and say this. Justin Fields is going to lead the Chicago Bears to the playoffs this season.
You know what, man? As crazy as that may sound to somebody, I don't think it's that crazy. I think Justin Fields will be Rookie of the Year. I think this is what, he's going to start in week 3.
Dynamic.
Yeah, he's really dynamic. He's big, strong. I see a lot of
Dual
Steve
threat.
McNair, dual threat. I mean, this is going to be fun to watch. Bears fans, you guys got to be jacked.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's not saying anything against Dalton, man. He gave it his best shot.
No.
Yeah, gave it his
Dalton
best
had
shot.
a real nice career. This is Justin Fields' time, though.
Yep, it's time. God, it's a great time to be alive in the NFL, man. Good
Absolutely.
stuff. So real quickly, before we move into this week's picks, just super quick, Lamar Jackson, unreal performance as a runner.
Yes.
Have we seen him hit the ceiling as a passer? Just quickly. I mean, his passing numbers were nothing to get excited. I mean, they weren't terrible. 18 of 26, 239 against a really bad Chiefs defense. 1 TD, 2 picks. He had 2 fumbles the week before. Now, when he cuts loose with his legs, he's terrifying. But man, has he hit the ceiling as a passer?
I don't think so. I think we're going to see this guy continue to develop. And a matter of fact, I wrote about him for tomorrow's Sports Illustrated Detroit Lions story. And Detroit right now cannot be too excited. I mean, Detroit's got the 31st ranked defense in the league right now, according to lineups.com. And they cannot be excited about seeing this guy come into their building because he's almost averaging 100 yards a game on his feet. As a runner, as you alluded to, Stacy. So and plus he's the passing, threat that he is. And as long as Detroit keeps that number 34 in there at linebacker, who I think is the worst Detroit Lions player I have evaluated in 3 years. I mean, I gave that other guy, that safety they ran out there last year, Harmon, I gave him an F+ for Sports Illustrated effectually. This guy is an F-. Trust you and me, Lamar Jackson is going to find number 34. If Dan Campbell refuses to put Derek Barnes in there, he's going to find 34 all day. And those safeties in Detroit are garbage. Tracy Walker, his play, and Will Harris, Lamar Jackson's going to target. Detroit Lions, if they put those 3 people on the field this weekend, they're playing with 8 men on defense. And Lamar Jackson is going to expose them and exploit them probably all day long.
I cannot believe, I honed in and isolated on Anzalone.
Oh,
my God, he's
terrible. Awful.
I mean,
he's awful. I came out with an article in Sports Illustrated last weekend before the PFF thing hit this week on Twitter when they said he's the 3rd worst linebacker they've graded. I said that last weekend for Sports Illustrated Detroit Lions. If you go check it out, there's a picture of that linebacker against a brick wall, kind of a graphic illustration. And I couldn't believe it. He looks lost. He looks overwhelmed. He looks like he's going to get himself hurt out there. He's tripping around the grass. He's running all over the place. He's slow. He's hesitant. The only thing that looks good about that guy is his hair. This is a guy that I don't know what Dan Campbell's affinity is with this guy. I don't know if it's like he sees himself in him as a player or what the deal is. But the Detroit Lions are killing themselves by not having number 55 in the game, Derek Barnes. Barnes is a stud. Barnes, the rookie, is a guy that's going to make a high impact plays. And I tell you what, with a 3-4 defense, if you don't have somebody in the middle who's laying the leather to the football and laying the leather to these running backs, they're going to run wild on you.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I could not believe how bad he was.
Awful.
I kept thinking,
awful, an embarrassment.
I kept thinking, dude, good thing you're a really good-looking guy. He looks like Clay Matthews, out there with the hair and all that. But man, he don't play like that.
That's where it ends.
And boy, that was really ugly. And we don't like to just dig on people to dig on people. We're wannabes, but my God, that was really, really bad. The other
You can
night.
get any street free agent in America who's the right size and height, and they couldn't be any worse, and they probably could be a lot better than him off the street.
There's got to be guys on practice squads
off the street, and how Barnes is going to look like an all-pro when he steps in the game. Detroit's going to gain a lot. Why Campbell is fooling around with this guy, I will never know. At best, he's a special teams guy. Get him off the defense before he gets your staff fired.
He's not gonna survive Lamar Jackson. So that's going to be really, really ugly, folks. Yeah. And I know this is upset weekend, week 3.
That's right. Historically, it's upset weekend.
Right. So moving this thing along rapidly now, I want to get into 2 quick matchups. We're going to pick them really quick as we close out. I picked 2 games that I thought were absolutely massive. I can't wait to just sit my rear end on the couch and watch these. And for obvious reasons, but so what? Tampa Bay Bucks at Los Angeles Rams. Stafford versus Brady. What do you make of this thing? Now, I want to say Darrell Henderson's banged up. His ribs are very sore. I don't think he's going to play, even though they say he will. One hit to those things, and he'll be dying. And Antonio Brown was thrown into COVID protocol today. So we've got a couple of guys that'll be out. But what do you expect to see in that game on Sunday? I think it's the marquee matchup, and I'm wondering who has the better defense.
Guess who's back? Brady's back.
Yeah.
But I can almost see the Gronk and Brady, like the little things they put together on Twitter. I think Brady's going to figure out how to get this game done, and I'm taking Tampa Bay.
Okay, damn. I had a sneaking suspicion you were going to say that.
But I bet you're not going to take the Rams.
I got to tell you, and it hurt.
Look at that jersey, guys. Look at that jersey on the wall. Rams.
I am very concerned about this Raheem Morris bend don't break defense against teams that aren't as good as the Bucs. That we shouldn't have been in the game with the Colts. That should have been a blowout. I've got some concerns, and we beat the Bucs last year, but that was Brandon Staley as the defensive coordinator. Morris has got me a little concerned. So stay tuned. I think it's going to be real close.
Yes.
I think the Rams will win this 34-31. So there we go. Let's see. Check back this week or hit us up on Twitter, folks, and laugh at us, whatever you want to do. Another one, and this is not a coincidence, folks, not meant to be at all, but I think it's a marquee matchup. The Washington football team at Buffalo Bills. Bills have looked a little shaky. They've got, they're winning. But they won, this last weekend. But they didn't look amazing doing it, and people had them in the Super Bowl to start the season. Washington's defense looks a little shaky to me. That front 4, I thought, was just going to be the second coming of the fearsome foursome this year. So what do you think is going to happen in that game? Is Heineke the real deal? It's his team now.
He is, absolutely. I think, I'm I wrote another article on Draft Diamonds about Taylor Heineke. I said, don't look now, but he's got that Super Bowl look to him. And I mean that. I grew up watching Joe Gibbs teams in the 1980s. Taylor Heineke could play on any one of those Gibbs teams. And that's the kind of the prototype, quarterback that makes it with that team. They've never been a team that's made it with high-profile draft picks. It's been the Joe Theismanns from the CFL coming down. It's been the Mark Rippons in the 6th round. It's been the Doug Williams that spent some time in the USFL and bounced around, and then it finds a place. And Taylor Heineke kind of fits that mold of a guy who's come in. He's all heart. He's got the most heart of any player that's played on that team since John Riggins, in my mind. And I think he's going to lead that team this weekend. It's a rematch of a game I went to. It's near and dear to my heart. Super Bowl 26. When I was growing up in Minnesota, I went to the Metrodome to watch the Redskins at the time beat Buffalo 37-24. Not that I remember the game at all. Anyways, I think this is going to be a close game. I know that people are a little bit disappointed with the Buffalo Bills right now. I am a huge fan of Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. As a matter of fact, I actually recommended him as a head coaching candidate, and I think his time is coming for that. And I think that obviously Josh Allen's good. They spread the ball around. Yes, Washington's front 4 is a big concern to a lot of people. It's not a surprise surprise to me because I've never, believe it or not, been a huge Chase Young fan. I don't have his jersey or anything like that. Yeah, no, this just in. I love Montez. Wow. I love Montez Sweat. I do love him. And he makes the most noise of any defensive lineman. John Allen, I'm kind of in between on. I do like him, but he's not, to me, great. And Payne is a lazy kid from Alabama that, sometimes he's on, sometimes he's not. You have to almost light a fire underneath him to get him to play. So the Washington front four leaves something to be desired for me. I know a lot of people have built that up a lot. That defense as a whole leaves something to be desired right now for me. But, yeah, I think Washington gives them a game. I think Taylor Heinicke keeps them in the game. And I look for Washington to pull a squeaker. And when I say squeaker, I mean like last-second field goal stuff.
I'm picking the same thing. I'm picking the Washington football team to win this one 20-17. I think that they're going to pull it off. I think that sooner than later, that front four for Washington is going to come to play. I can't believe it. We haven't talked about Chase Young. That was the guy in that draft that I thought had the biggest opportunity to bust.
He just lacks nasty. He lacks mean.
I'm not in love with him either.
No, it just doesn't do it for me. I mean, I've watched, over the last 40 years, just like you, Stacy, I've watched all the great pass rushers there are. I've grew up watching Dexter Manley. This guy something's missing with Chase Young. Yes, he has the speed. Yes, he has the athleticism. Yes, to all those type of things. But he doesn't have the mean or the nasty like a Richard Dent or like a Charles Mann or like a Charles Haley or any of these type of guys, the Ed Tuttle Jones, these pass rushing guys over the years. He just does not have that. He's not a Tank Lawrence.
Yeah. Oh, good point. I'll tell you what. You know what I see, and look, all respect to Chase Young. He is
or
a good
Jack
player.
Youngblood, by the way.
Come on. Man.
I saw.
But I'll tell you what. I see more Jadeveon Clowney than I see Richard Dent in him. Well, we'll leave that there, and we'll spark that fire for another day. Okay. Back. So real quick picks now to close out our week here. Just give me wins, losses. Philly at Dallas.
Dallas.
Agreed. Baltimore at Detroit.
Detroit.
Big upset.
31-30 last-second field goal goes through the uprights.
If you're listening, you best be back to chomp on us about this next week, folks. And then another marquee matchup this week for me, at least. Chargers versus the Chiefs.
Chargers.
The Chiefs go into a bit of a tailspin. Interesting. Okay, I'm picking the Chiefs, but not by much. All right, man. Great stuff. Good review of week 2. So much controversy. We could spend a whole other week and several more of those energy drinks discussing.
Absolutely.
I want to thank NFL Draft Diamonds for hosting us and presenting us on their site. Folks, go check them out. They've got some great articles supporting the small school kids,
awesome
big school
stuff.
Kids, and absolutely bombastic sport takes from guys like Daniel Kelly. So go check out those articles.
Hey, I'm just keeping the narrative real. I'm fighting false narratives, Stacy.
Keep the heat coming, folks. Folks, we appreciate you listening in. Thanks again to my partner in crime, Mr. Kelly. We'll be watching the games and texting all weekend as we usually do. Join us online at The Dirty Pocket on YouTube if you want to see these ugly mugs. Join us also. We are now officially on TikTok. No, we will not be dancing for you. Just forget about it.
But I did sing. Guess who's back? Brady's back.
Yeah, that's not going to get followers.
Like I tell my kids, I'm the candy wrapper with a W. That's my statement.
Oh, God. Okay, folks, there you go. Tune in, TikTok, Instagram. Find us on Twitter at The Dirty Pocket. And my friend, and all those listening, we will see you next week.
Sounds good. Enjoy the football. Take care. Thanks for watching.